Jason Jackson Jr. III, Miami Heat play-by-play voice. What were you expecting last night in Boston with your Miami Heat?
Oh, my father's rolling in his grave right now. This is so sad. Listen, of the 19 seasons that I've covered this team, this is the most one-off experience that I've ever had. In the sense of, here's a team that just missed the NBA Finals by a Jimmy Butler missed three. I mean, this is far off to the right.
Yeah.
I mean, that was it. And the entire team, for the most part, outside of PJ Tucker, was brought back. And so you assume, at the very least, somewhere between 1 through 4. Like, you're just taking into consideration other teams are going to be better, other teams are not. There's going to be some shifting. That's probably about it. And then a Yurt-7, an Omer Yurt-7 ankle, all the way through Jimmy Butler and management on his body. Kyle Lowry playing way too many minutes early because of the management on Jimmy's body, to everybody having some sort of time spent out. All of a sudden, the Miami Heat is the team that's missed the most games due to injury, which it's not a headline for the Heat because the Heat don't want that to be a headline, but that's a real availability that's a real thing.
Yeah.
And then some bad losses. I'll admit that along the way. Just some terrible home losses here and there. But then, as what happens, I think, with any team that has that type of chemistry, the desire to get back to where they were, if not trying to get beyond that, it just got better, Dan, along the way. And fortunately, this team is playing its best basketball at the right time. This team didn't win more than 3 games in a row all season long.
Yeah.
And now it's just rolling.
Okay. Explain to us who Jimmy Butler is. Can you explain who Jimmy Butler is?
I've tried to figure it out now in 4 years because I'm like, is Jimmy complex or is he just super simple? All he ever talks about is, one, guard somebody. It's very Tomball, Texas, right? Very, very outside of Houston mentality. Like, we're not going to talk about defensive schemes. We're not going to talk about rotations. We're not going to talk about, help the helper. Guard somebody. And then on the other end, he talks about playing the right way, which we've heard forever. But for him, it's not necessarily a 30-plus point night. It's what ended up happening as well. 6 guys in double figures. And him looking and feeling out the defense first, helping out other guys build their confidence so when you need big shots late, guys aren't being called upon to do something they're not comfortable doing. And that's how he'd rather play. And Dan, he doesn't need us. That's the other thing. He can't stand. And it's not like this faux lack of desire to get on a microphone. It is a pure, I think, disdain for having to do it. And that's part of this era, by the way. They're going to get a lot of this going forward as you and I play the second 9 of our careers. I think more and more because of social media and guys' ability to have, when you make $40 million a year, you can have some staff and you can get out whatever you want. So if you want to sell coffee, you don't need to come on the Dan Patrick Show to sell your coffee. You can.
But is he a tough guy to play with if you look at what happened in Philly, in Minnesota, in Chicago? I mean, he's a Hall of Famer on his 4th team,
right,
and he plays at a high level. I just wonder what happened with these other stops, and is that going to happen in Miami?
You can't be tougher than the experience in Miami simply because there's just too much certainty. 27 years of Pat Riley as the president. 35 years of the same family, the Harrisons, owning the team. Eric Spoelstra in his 15th season as the head coach is in his 27th season in the organization. I've been a broadcaster for this team for almost 20 years, and I'm still not senior. So there's just way too much certainty in the organization everywhere around to be tougher than what the organization calls for. And I think that's finally a thriving moment for him.
I'm looking at the roster, and there's a great quote. Being bad in the NBA is a choice. Talent is everywhere with the right eye. And that is Pat Riley. You got Caleb Martin undrafted, Max Strus undrafted, Gabe Vincent undrafted, Duncan Robinson undrafted. You got Bam 14th overall, Tyler Hero 13th pick. Kevin Love on his last leg, Udonis Haslem on the bench. I mean, you're looking at this and you're going, it doesn't make sense. I just said that I thought the Celtics have the most talented team left in the playoffs. And then you're watching the second half and you're going, wait, which team was the 8th seed and which team was the, one of the best teams in the East? Hard to explain sometimes.
If you just take that next look under the dermis is that, and we've known this about Pat Riley as an executive for almost 30 years now, is that he'd rather have somebody that either one has experience or two has something to prove. That he had, listen, you have to have stars. You have to have guys that are blue chip. And along the way, he's had several cats that have been picked rather high. But sometimes he goes gets them from other teams too. And so by trading and using free agency and the buyout market, he doesn't mind. I think what Pat has enjoyed the most, and then this entire front office with Andy Ellisberg and Adam Simon, is it's the flexibility on the roster. Like, don't lock yourself in all the way down to player 17. I mean, they worry about the two ways now at a high level, because what they're doing is we'll develop someone, first of all, financially sound, right? You're not locked into a number. We'll develop someone over 2 to 4 years rather than having somebody that has to get in here. And in year 3, if they're not already a star, man, people are trying to run you out of town. And that combination has worked. So when you look at this roster, yeah, you still got lottery picks like Bam and Tyler in the mix. But like you said, I mean, Jimmy was the last pick in the first round in his draft.
Can Tyler, is there any possibility he could play in the Eastern Conference Finals?
From a date standpoint, from the press release to the actual date, he could play in Game 7. But Dan, it's like, back in the day when you used to, come down Avon Mountain into the valley there in Connecticut. Yeah. And you're reaching.
And I'm teaching.
Yeah, that's how it used to work, baby. I mean, that jab step was sick, boy. They don't understand.
You saw it.
They don't understand how a Dayton flies, baby. They don't know.
You saw it. Preach.
But you can't, they just don't know.
Preach.
But you can't come in there trying to get your win when you didn't play for a couple weeks, right? Like,
that's true.
You can't do it.
That's true.
And even though, he's a young fella and he can score at all 3 levels and he 20 points a night, you're not going to just shove that away. He hasn't done any dribbling or shooting yet. The great thing about, if there is a great thing about breaking your hand, it is that you can do other stuff, but you're doing it on a bike. You're not doing it at game level. I think if this team is blessed to head to the finals, I think that's more realistic than if there is a Game 7.
Great to talk to you as always.
Man, this is the mere fact that the Miami Heat put me back in position.
I know.
To get Fritz on an email.
Yeah.
To get you.
Yeah.
To just dedicate yourself to service the way that you do.
I do.
Yes,
I do. Yeah.
Serve it.
Yeah.
My man.
Who's picking out the suits, by the way? Is that Craig Sager's leftovers that you're wearing?
No, you know better than that. I don't spend a great deal of money on anything other than retirement fund because I'm gonna be at sea. You understand that I am.
Oh, you are. Okay.
I'm a seaman. Yes, I am
a
man of the sea, and I'm looking forward to the twilight of my life out on the ocean. And so I'm
in a boat.
Double
in a boat.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know.
My golf game has not gotten any better over 25 years, so I turn to the ocean now. But I will spend some change.
Okay.
At the haberdashery, and you know better. Don't you try to make
No. You're bringing it. Absolutely. You're bringing it.
Listen, you see where that hairline went.
Yeah.
So I might as well keep my inseam tight.
If the Heat advance, we'll talk to you next week.
I can't wait.
All right. Go back to bed.
You're the best.
Jason
right
Jackson Jr. III. He's Miami Heat play-by-play voice. And I don't know what's going on in that hotel room. There no lights on. It was just dark.
Blair Witch Project.
Yeah.
Had that look to it?
It did.